Welcome my fellow Dovahkins. Now in this video is why I think Galmar is the Thalmor rat. Because there's a few red flags with Galmar, and the most obvious one is right at the start here is, why is he not at Helgen? Do you know what I mean? Like, why is ulfrics' right hand man not at Helgen? Because if we side with the Imperials and we listen to Hadvar, Hadvar will say they've captured Ulfric and his most important lieutenants, and he's not on that cart either. So how can you capture his most important lieutenants and not have his right hand man there? So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to both ralof and Hadvar's version of the ambush, and it's very clear that there's a mole in the camp. Now I think that's the Thalmor, leaking information to Galmar and vice versa. So we'll go over both the stories and we'll see what they've got to say.
Where to start? Well, the news you heard about Ulfric was true. The Imperials ambushed us outside Darkwater Crossing. Like they knew exactly where we'd be. That was 2 days ago now. I was assigned to Ulfric's guard. We were on our way to Darkwater Crossing in the south of Eastmarch. The Imperials were waiting for us. As pretty an ambush as I ever saw. We were outnumbered 5 to 1 at least. Ulfric ordered us to stop fighting. Didn't want us all to die for nothing, I guess. I thought they were taking us south to Cyrodiil. Parade us in front of the Emperor. But then, we stopped in Helgen. And you know the rest.
You didn't know? That was Ulfric Stormcloak and his top lieutenants. Oh, right. You were caught trying to cross the border into Skyrim, weren't you? You're not kidding. Ulfric's the leader of the Stormcloaks. You know, the traitors trying to break Skyrim away from the Empire. A masterstroke by General Tullius. He's only been in charge here for a few months, but he's turned things around for the Empire. We've been trying to catch Ulfric since the war started, but he always seemed to slip through our fingers, like he knew we were coming. This time, the General turned the tables on him. Ulfric rode right into our ambush with only a few bodyguards. He surrendered pretty meekly too. So much for his death or glory reputation. I thought we were taking Ulfric back to Cyrodiil, but I guess the General changed his mind. You know the rest.
So both ralof and Hadvar have very similar stories there. Ralof saying, they got ambushed, like they knew exactly where we'd be, and it's as pretty as an ambush he's ever seen. And Hadvar mentioning that, Ulfric always seemed to escape, or like they knew they was coming. Another thing I want to point out about Galmar is that he seems to be an absolute terrible strategist / tactician, whatever, because he wants Ulfric to take Whiterun by storm, and just kill Jarl Balgruuf like he did High King Torrig. And Ulfric's like, well, wouldn't it be better if we just, take his throne and you leave him in disgrace? So he just seems to be terrible as a tactician. And another thing I'm going to point out here is the Jagged Crown Quest. So if we side with the Imperials, that Legate Rickard will say, Galmar's found the Jagged Crown, that he's not the sentimental type, he's not the superstitious type, so if he believes something, it'll be true. And then when we speak to Galmar about the Jagged Crown, he says he has some sources that will remain nameless, which is a huge red flag for me, because Nords aren't that superstitious, they hate magic and all that. But the aldmeri Dominion are into artefacts, and they have an interest in pursuing, artefacts that mean a lot. And they know that the Jagged Crown means a lot to the Nords. So we'll skip over to that part where Galmar says his sources will remain nameless. And now, could that possibly be? Do you know what I mean? So we'll skip over to that part.
It's true. The location of the crown was lost with King Borgas after the Great Hunt killed him while he was off on his damned Alessian campaigns. But legend holds, His body was secretly returned to Skyrim and buried with the crown. Its exact whereabouts lost in the following Wars of Succession. Through sources that shall remain nameless, I've tracked down what I believe to be the final resting place of King Borgas, Corvanjun. If the crown exists, it will be there.
So who are these nameless sources? To me, that's the Aldmeri Dominion, because the Aldmeri Dominion have like a fascination with, you know, powerful symbolism and powerful artefacts, and I think the Jagged Crown fits into that. So when we go over what Ralof and Hadvar said, there's obviously a mole in the camp with insider information. The fact that Galmar wasn't at Helgen, the fact that he knows about the Jagged Crown and has sources that remain nameless, for me, I 100% think he's working with the Thalmor. Now, whether it's part of cut content, I don't know, because it sort of like fizzles out for me. Like, when we get the Jagged Crown, there's no like unique dialogue or anything, and then Galmar just sort of goes back to being, you know, a terrible tactician. But I think 100%, maybe it's part of cut content, but he's 100% a Thalmor spy.
Damn it. What were they doing there? Imperial spies are everywhere, never forget that.
Give the word, my lord, and Whiterun is yours.
Whiterun is only a means to an end.
I've toured our camps. We're ready, Ulfric. Whenever you are.
Is any man ever ready to give the order that will mean the deaths of many?
No, but neither is every man able to give that order when he must.